Orange. All right, let me see if I can get this.
Did I get some more?
Our video.
Thank you.
Hopefully we got somebody coming in line here. Maybe screen share.
Welcome.
Yes. Okay. Oh. Oh.
Oh, there's a piece of plastic on the top.
Yes, you can just take it off. It's fine.
Take it what?
You can take it off.
Okay.
Okay, is this the right way? No, it's the wrong way. Yes, it is. I'm just trying to get oriented. Is that right? That looks right there. Fine. Okay, is that good? Yes. If you guys can't see a part of it, just let me know and I can adjust this. You do?
There we go.
So you can go ahead and get some of the paints going. I'm just telling people to start with some of the basics, and then if you need to get more later, you can, okay?
So what colors?
So go ahead and start with like a dark blue, that teal color, and like a light blue, or even just
So,
white,
and I had to pick those out.
and then a little bit of orange and white. Should be good to start. Okay, while you guys are getting set up, I'm going to introduce the class for the Zoom video. So today we're going to be painting this underwater scene, and we have a lovely grouping of clownfish or Nemo fish, it's also called. So we're going to be working in acrylic. If you guys are starting getting set up at home, we're going to start off doing the background with like a light blue or white. You can also just mix the blue and white. I did throw a little bit of teal in here. There's a bit of dark blue down here at the bottom. And then to make the sand, we're just going to mix white and orange. So those are the colors you want to start with. And then afterwards, you can layer on top of that. That's the idea. Okay. I'm kind of hesitating to start just because there's supposed to be 7 people here. So I want to.
Person that was supposed to be here is not here.
Oh, okay.
She's not coming. I haven't heard
Okay. Yeah, but
the yellows.
you could probably wait on the yellow. Oh yeah, I forgot my little stack of napkins I usually bring, so we just have these. I think there's more paper towels in the hallway also, but it should be good for now. They're just not as absorbent. They're kind of like thin paper towels. Okay, as far as the brushes go, if you're starting off, go ahead and grab one large brush, actually larger than this one. So this is more like a medium-sized brush, the size of your finger, smaller brushes, and then one large one to do the background. So if you guys want to grab one of those orange ones, or just something that's a little bit bigger or wider, you're going to start the background.
Oh, cool.
Doesn't have to be this big, I just have to use one. Just so we're not painting the background all day. There's also a fan brush you can use for this. The ones that are like that, you can use one of those. Yeah, there's a couple of rows you can use. That's just something to spread out the color. All right, so does everybody have at least the blue, any kind of dark blue or bluish color? Teal, and maybe a little bit of that light blue or white. We're basically just going to be starting off, working our way from the top to the bottom and just kind of making like a U or like an arc, just very lightly going over with the light blue, you know, and fading down into the other blues. Okay. So I'm going to start off by mixing. You guys okay? Mixing a little bit of this blue or teal color, whatever you have. And if you already have a light blue, then you can just use that. I just didn't get a light blue. Well, maybe I'll get a light blue just so I can show you guys. But actually, would you be passing it to me? The one that's like baby blue. It's right there. I just figured I'd try to make it look like the picture a little bit more. Yeah. There you go. Sorry about that. Okay. It's there. I just didn't think about getting it. There we go. Flip side. So with your light blue, we're just gonna start spreading this out. You guys see that? Oh. It's so zoomed out. Okay, I dipped my brush in a little bit of water too, just to help it flow, because when we're starting a large space, we don't want to just, you know, struggle with a really, really dry brush. We kind of want the water to help break down the paint a little, and it's going to be much easier to apply it that way. So just kind of a soft blue coming down, maybe about like the top, the 4 fingers of your hand, or even 5 fingers if you have a huge hand. Blue. Kind of like a watery blue. Let's see. Did you mix your teal with white? Sorry, what's your name?
Linda.
Linda. Okay. You can just mix that blue with a little bit of white, just so I like it. Oh, you did? I could throw in a little more. Okay. And then, so as you're work, yeah, go ahead and use that big one. That's the big
Yeah,
one.
something's in it. It's coming off all over the.
Oh, is there color in it already?
There's something gritty like or something in it.
Oh, you can use a fan brush. It's over here if you want to use that one, or
I've got the fan brush here.
yeah. And then so as we work down, just, you know, think about the blue that you want to put more in the middle. So I'm going to use that teal color that I started mixing initially. And while this is still kind of wet up here, we want to just brush it kind of going into that color, just so it blends it in a little. That way you don't get like a hard line right there when, you know, you're painting it. It'll just kind of like blend into that top lighter blue. Get more brushes like this. This is actually pretty nice. And let's see on this. Something like that. And it doesn't have to be totally perfectly smooth. Like, it's okay if we put a little bit of like, you know, marks in there.
2 fingers down.
No, just keep it going down right now. Maybe this lighter blue should be about halfway. See if I can zoom out. This is a little bit. Here, I don't know if we can see it, but it's about halfway down the canvas now. So if you guys see,
Okay.
it's like about halfway. And then we're gonna leave some room at the bottom, like a few inches, like maybe 3 inches. And then we're gonna do the dark blue. So the sand is gonna be at the bottom. The water is gonna fill up most of this whole top part. So, you know, keep going. Make sure you're blending in this light blue with the first blue that you made. I'm gonna throw in a little bit more teal. And then again, down here, we want to leave about 3 inches or maybe 3 or 4 fingers from the bottom. And then you can bring your dark blue up to there. If you need more paint, just, go ahead and get up and get more paint. You underestimated how much you needed. So I'm bringing this up into that teal. I'm kind of working fast and intentionally because I don't want it to dry on you guys while you're painting. If you just kind of sit and wait there, obviously that top blue is going to dry. So kind of want to get it on there quickly. All right. Lisa, go ahead in between that first layer and the second layer and just blend it in.
A little bit more here.
Yeah, just have a sharp line right there. So just soften it. Even if you just wet the brush a little, like
Okay.
clean off the brush a little and then go over it, then it should work. Like dab it a little bit and then right in between those two, just kind of like smooth it out with that brush. There you go. Just to soften it up a little.
Okay.
So I wish this was a little bit taller here. Let's see if I can make this stand up. Oh, I think that's better. Why this is a hard time staying put. Okay, this should tighten it. So let's tighten this. Yes. This one. Oh, that's okay. It'll come on. If you want, you could just unroll some of the paper towel and put it underneath the canvas. Yeah. So as you're painting, also, when you're cleaning off your brush, just dab it on the paper towel so it doesn't get so wet while you're working. Okay. You get a chance to finish that. Looking good.
Just a little bit further down, that's not good.
I would do it a little bit further. Yeah, ooh, that looks very watercolory.
Well, it's this brush. You can't, it's impossible to get the water out of it.
Oh, yeah, just more paper towel. I'm so good, but the other brushes should be much easier since it's not so heavy.
Good news, it's clean.
There's a couple trays here too, so if you guys need an extra tray to work on, okay? Let's see, so how are we doing? Everybody has their blue down, right? So we do need to give that a chance to dry off before we start layering on top of it too much. So we're gonna go ahead and do the sand down here. So to make the sand, we're gonna start with some orange and go ahead and mix in some white. And this is just gonna give you like a nice, like peachy color. I just like to put in a tiny little dot of a blue. It can be the dark blue, the teal, little dot of that, like a tiny little bit, just like tiny little dab like that big. Just to bring down the intensity of that orange color, it'll kind of give it more of like a sandy look to it. So again, just orange and white mostly, and just a little speck of that teal or that blue, just to kind of calm down that orange. And this is going to go down at the bottom. You can just switch to a regular brush for this one. Doesn't have to be that huge one. So next month, I already had scheduled a bunch of different classes here. So let me actually see if I can pull out my calendar and see. This says you guys are painting them. Interested in these. So on the 15th, I'm gonna have a bookmaking class. So I had offered a bookmaking class a while ago, and people were interested in doing it again, or doing like a, a second version of it. So if you guys are interested in that, it's just a very beginner friendly bookmaking class where you make your book and then decorate it with whatever pictures you bring in, and then I'll bring in a bunch of goodies to give you guys to decorate your book. So just kind of a fun introduction to bookmaking. And then on the 22nd of August, I have a paint pouring class.
Ooh.
So if you've never done paint pouring, that's gonna happen.
Wear old clothes. Wear
Yeah,
old clothes.
that's very messy. Paint pouring, so I don't know if you've seen where like on videos where they just take cups of paint and they pour it on the canvas and then they move it around. They mix a lot of like swirl designs and bubbles. So that's the paint pouring class. And then the 24th, that same week, we're gonna have another painting class like this. Although I haven't decided what it's gonna be. So if you guys have an idea of what you want to paint, let me know and I can think of something for that. And then on 30th, last of the month, I'm gonna do a paper bead making class. And I'm also gonna bring a bunch of other kinds of beads, and we can basically just make like necklaces and jewelry, bracelets, things like that. But the paper bead technique is kind of a fun way to make them. So there'll be kind of a combination, like a jewelry making class.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I really like how you did that. So if you guys wanna, if you want to follow her example here, you can just kind of dab this sandy color into the blue and just kind of using like a little bouncing motion or like a dab. You just bring up some of that sand in there. We're not going to show all of this, so especially in the middle, that's probably the only part that's going to show. Continue it all the way in here.
My mother-in-law had took our gift wrap from our wedding shower and made it beads and made a garland, and I use them on a Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, that's exactly like it really works with thinner paper, like exactly like gift wrap, magazines. They even have like printed designs you can use to make them, but I just like to recycle whatever I might have. Yeah, that way, and some of those wrapping paper and stuff have like foil on it and like metallic, so it's like you kind of get some nice effects with those.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, so it's a
And
fun
then
class.
she put a little bead in between, just like a little plastic bead in between each one of
Yeah.
those paper beads.
Yeah, I mean,
And so they're 32 years old.
yeah, if you guys want to do something like that and make the beads a little bigger for that, that would be great. Okay. How's everybody been working in the sand? Okay, so for the next part, we're gonna need some purple. So if you didn't get a purple, you actually probably want to grab a purple and just make sure you have some dark blue on there, just so we can make that purple a little bit darker. You might also want to grab some of the other fun colors, you know, like the greens, definitely the greens, so we can do the seaweed. But start filling up another tray if you need to. If you want to make some space on your palette, you can also kind of clean up the blue. Probably not going to use all those colors again.
What are we supposed to be doing?
We're gonna put a little blue, dark blue in the purple.
Oh, yeah. Are you guys ready for that? That's just waiting on her. Yeah, so if you want to grab some of the purple, I'm gonna just make some space right here on the side of this. But let's just start off by taking this light blue and adding a little bit of a dark blue or even just a regular blue in there. This is just going to give us a little bit of a darker purple. And so for this, I was kind of imagining this as like a little bit of like that like coral that's like slanted, you know. I don't know exactly the terms for these, but I was looking at some different paintings and that looked like an accurate representation. So I'm going to start this about halfway up the canvas here and just work my way down and just making little dabbing motions. So I'm just taking a brush, probably want to use a medium-sized brush for this, and just kind of make like a little shelf thing. It's like a little like step down. Except, it doesn't have to be.
Which brush are you using?
I'm using just an angled medium-sized brush. This is about a 1/2 inch. So just as long as it's something like that.
It looks so much darker blue than purple.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can barely see it on my canvas.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make mine a little lighter here. Get better. You guys see that? Oh, it's blending into the blue. So either way, we're gonna lighten it up anyway. So as long as we have a little bit of dark. I'll show you guys, I'll hold it up right now. So yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it a little better. It just basically looks like a dark purple up there. So we want to leave it as like dabs. So even though I'm using like an angled brush, I rotated it to the side, so it makes kind of like this end is kind of pointy. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, but it's more pointed, not flat on the sides of this. And then keep going, probably make those a little bit thicker, Lisa.
Okay,
And then bring them all the way down so they're touching this sand part. Or just overlapping like the top part of that sand area. And then hopefully I can add a little bit of this lighter color and you can see it better on the screen. So I'm overlapping this with just a little bit of the lighter purple. So we're just trying to get like a little bit of depth in here. So to create this like feeling that this is a form, you want to add like a darker, medium, and a light value to it. So this is like the medium value. So you guys can see that in person. I kind of just lightly went over it. I didn't try to cover it all up. I just kind of like lightly went over it with that medium purple.
Mine's more smoothly.
Okay. Yeah.
What'd you put on it now?
So so I just wanted to show you on here, but so I put the darker one, the medium kind of light purple that's in the bottle, and then I just mixed this purple with white. So it's a very, very light purple. And then this last one, I'm just gonna kind of dab a little bit more texture. So I just kind of dabbing across just to give it the feeling of this reef. And they're not exactly like one exactly right on top of the other. They're a little bit shifted, a little bit kind of misaligned here. But we just want to give this feeling that there's like this textured reef. So I can hold it up here. You guys can see it hopefully a little better. Acrylic does also tend to dry a little bit different than when you put it on. So, you know, you might even notice that your background dried a little bit lighter or darker. So it'll shift on you a little.
With that,
I think you are working very with a wet brush. So just
I'm wiping everything.
you're wiping it. Okay.
I'm trying not to.
All right.
Could I have more paper towels, please?
Oh yeah, pass it on there. Roll.
What's the deal? Can't seem to get the water out of the brushes.
Be okay. It's just yeah, and I think what you could do also is just bring it into the middle a little bit more. So it's not tucked in on the side. So it really should be going, the very last one should be kind of touching them your middle halfway point. So you guys can see like this is the center. It can kind of fade out into it, but you know, don't just put it right on the side because then it's gonna just look like a ball of reef. And of course, you know, as we're going and you want to add some things in a different spot or you think it would look better somewhere else, that's fine. I'm just kind of following the little guide that I made, so as we start layering it, you can kind of fuss with the placement a little bit if you want.
Or like that.
Yeah, that looks cool.
I use the perfectly dry.
Okay, well, and the brush doesn't have to be super perfect, it's just, sometimes when you add it, it has a lot of, or maybe when you're adding it, it seems like it was wiping it a lot of way. So it might even help to let it dry, the back layer dry a little bit before you add the top layers. So if you feel like you need to do that, then you can come back to this and layer the lighter colors on top after it's dried a bit. So that might help. All right, and then for the next one, I use this like reddish orange color. So if you guys don't have red on your palette yet, go ahead and get a little bit of red. And we're just going to be blending a little bit of the red and the orange together. So I need some red. So, just let it dry if you want. Redo that. Anybody else need another tray?
Yeah.
Here, I'll just pass around the red. Need the tray?
Yes.
Just grab a little bit of red. You should have some orange there, but if you don't have orange, you can grab it. Oh, where's my left to go? Yeah, for this next layer, you might even want to switch it up to this brush. So it would be, it's very white here, but there it is. And then you can do the little texture in there with small brush.
And now we're using red.
Yeah, so the next little part of this is gonna be this like red kind of bubbly coral. So we're just gonna be mixing the red and the orange together. Or if you have this neon color, you could also try using that. So if you're gonna mix the red orange color, just make sure you put less red than orange because the red is pretty strong. So I have some space here. So just more orange than red when you're mixing those two together. And then if you decide you need more red, then you can slowly add it, but it's a little bit strong, so the red tends to overpower that other color. Okay.
Wants to look like mustard and ketchup mixed together.
Yeah. Although it shouldn't look too brown. Mustard is a little brown. Did you guys see on the news that they're gonna make that mustard color, the mustard flavor, Skittles candy?
Right. Why would they do that?
I just saw it this morning. I was like, I guess it's gonna be just distributed for free, just for like, I don't know, probably like National Mustard Day or something. But it's like, oh my God, who would eat that? that. And they're like, oh, maybe you can put it on a hot dog. Skittles on a hot dog. Yeah, I don't know if sugar and mustard. But candy. All right, so for this coral, we're just gonna make like a giant bowl shape. I think mine's too red. I'm gonna add some more. Mine's too orange. I'm gonna add some more red to it. Big bowl shape. Or if you think of like a tulip. Kind of like that. I kind of tilted it. And then, you know, just like a tulip, you can kind of like make this bubbly top portion. So it kind of looks like a big flower, sort of. And we're just gonna fill in the whole thing. Nice and thin so that this layer dries pretty quickly. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, we have a painting class. going on. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Trying to shop or something. All right.
Red and orange.
This is like, yeah, it's like a red and orange mixed together. So it's okay if it's a little bit dark like this because we're gonna layer on top of it. So just as long as you make a nice thin layer so that it dries. And then we'll keep layering it and making it a little lighter and lighter.
Yeah, the oranges and yellows and stuff, they're very translucent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very weak colors.
Yeah.
So that's gonna dry a little bit. It's okay if it's still a little bit wet. We just don't want it to be like super thick. So I'm gonna white for this color to lighten it up. And it's gonna make more of like a peachier version of this. So I'm gonna take white.
More peach than the sand.
Yeah, it's gonna be, well, since you have the red in there, it's gonna make it like a very reddish peach. So I just threw some white in there. Or again, if you want to try using this like me, that's fine too. Or if you have a pink already, maybe you can use the pink. I'm just making this like creamy, reddish orange. So then this color is gonna go kind of making like the top part of this. And the white, you know, is very opaque, so it'll kind of cover a little better. And if I'm going too fast, let me know, okay? Slow down a little bit. And right now I'm using not really a medium-sized brush. It's like maybe the size of my pinky or half the size of the other brush you're using. So I'm gonna start to get a little bit detailed, but you definitely don't want to be using like a teeny tiny brush. So as we're making the shape of this, it's gonna make those little arches on the top, and then you kind of want to imagine like this is a bowl, right? So then if this is a bowl shape, then you kind of want to make these ridges, these kind of scallop ridges going around the bowl like this. So I guess you can just kind of see where this is going. Sounds like you're outlining the rim of that bowl. So you should have a little bit of that bowl showing on the bottom.
At the top there in the center. Like what colors?
Oh, so then this is this red orange, the same red orange that I made, and then I mixed it with like white.
But in the center, the door, it's just a door, is that?
It's actually, it's the same color, but because it's on top of the dark blue, it makes it look really dark. So it's okay if yours looks a little just more orange. That's fine. So imagine like you're, you have like this bowl shape, and so you start by just making the petals on the top.
And how did you do the inside?
The inside.
Yeah, that's what.
The ridges?
Oh, so then I just imagine like, this, imagine like a little oval kind of coming across here. So for example, I could do it on a separate piece, you guys can see it. So the way I started it, right, was something like this on the top, right? And then all I did was I kind of came in and did the ridges kind of going around this oval shape. So you can imagine it as like an oval going around the whole
So
thing.
what'd you do to the very center though?
This,
Yes.
I didn't do anything to it. I just
Oh,
went
Because
around.
it's on blue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that this looks, it looks
Mine
more,
didn't turn that color.
yeah, if yours is the same color that you used to paint it, that's fine. Then you don't need to change anything. It's just mine looks very dark because the blue is showing through. Okay. And you probably want to switch to a smaller brush now, okay? 'Cause that one looks a little big. And there's plenty of brushes up here if you want to grab some more, okay? All right. So now we know, once you have this kind of like ridge going around, and then in the center, you can just kind of make a couple more of these little, just whatever fits in yours. Mine, might look different and have a little bit of a different shape. But I'm just gonna make some of these ridges in here, just to give it like this feeling of like a bubbly pool. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so what I was saying was in here, this whole thing, that's fine, you made that, but this whole thing is just filled in. Thing, so it just kind of darkens it, and then so your light one, it's actually more like more white mixed in. So let me see if I can make it in here. Creating some more space anyway, or you can want. So down here, the same way you went over and did these. See, it's just much lighter now. Go ahead and go around it there, that way. Yeah. I'll bring more palette paper, but if you guys are running out of space, you could either wash one of the trays, or you can just also just put some paint on. Just if you want to use plastic bag or something to put paint on, but it could just be that you need to clear up some space. All right. So since we have this color already made on here, I'm gonna go in here. Actually, no, I'll wait on that. I don't want to confuse you guys. So we're going to be making some of this background over here. So for this coral, I use like that pink that's in the bottle right there, the big like magenta color. So if you want to get some of that one, you can, or you can try another fun color, whatever you might want to do. It could be purple, it could be, another pink that's over there. So just kind of trying it out. I want to see what happens if I use this neon. Just to see. Oh wow, that's really bright. I think I'll use that. So for this, how are we doing? Are we okay? I'm going too fast. I need to slow down because I'm just like, okay. All right, so I'm starting to make this like weird looking coral. So all I'm gonna do, you want to think of it as like building a little branch, right? So this is gonna be like one branch. And then I'm gonna make a little ridges on it. I like my edges to be, or the tips of these little branches to be kind of rounded. So I'm trying to kind of angle the brush so that they get a little bit rounded looking. So we're just gonna add some kind of fun coral back here. Here's another one. Here's two branches. And I'm just adding these little dabs. It's very short branches. Just to give it like this feeling of this kind of like rounded coral. If you don't have it, colors that you want, go ahead and grab some fun colors.
Is it just neon or did you mix them?
I just did the neon colors straight. That's kind of fun. Super bright. You want to use something else that's kind of, it's very, very bright. So I want to kind of poking out back here a little. And we just kind of want to fill up this little corner a little bit, so fun with that one. Definitely have to put that somewhere else though, because that's stealing a lot of attention right there. So it's okay if the paint is not completely covering the surface. So my neon, it's still kind of see-through, so that's okay. I could just leave it like that, you know, and see if it dries like that, or later on, maybe I'll go back in there and clean up some areas, but you don't have to kind of like fuss with it just to make it completely covered, okay? So just kind of have more fun with the stroke and kind of like making it than getting too picky about it. Because, you know, we don't want to ruin all the fun. Don't want to fuss over it too much. Yeah, my original. How are we doing? Everybody has some coral? All right, so let's go ahead and do some of that seaweed in the background. So it really kind of depends on how dark your water is. So mine has like a lighter teal on it, so I think this green will show up. Let me see. Yeah, if yours is not showing very well, then you might want to switch it to the light green. But it's basically going to be just some kind of like very wispy, wiggly, very wiggly seaweed with this regular green, and then you can throw in some lighter green, kind of layering into that. So if you don't have those greens, we're just kind of throwing in some seaweed. Maybe this one's kind of more wavy in the water here. I made it very straight. I'm making this top part a little bit more wavy. There's also this really bright leaf green. You want to use this one. Just depends on your background, whatever will show up best. Very wiggly. And just make sure it kind of tucks in there behind that reef that we made, just so it looks like it's coming out from behind there. And I'm gonna layer it again, just kind of putting some lighter greens. Not too much, just giving it a little bit of extra of that light green. Okay, I kind of got all over the place here. If you want to do the same thing, maybe just a little bit on this side, you can. You do want to leave enough room for the fish, so. Green. Coming out from behind the coral. Oh, yeah. Wispy seaweed in there. If you want to get a smaller brush even, if that makes it easier for you, you can do that. So this top part needs to be a little bit more wiggly. And again, just make sure your seaweed is kind of tucking in right, touching this first one that we made, because we wanted to make it look like it's kind of coming up from behind that. So just make sure it kind of tucks in there. So by now, the bottom part is dry down here, the sand. So we can start adding some stuff down there, and then that'll give this a chance to dry up here, so we can layer on top of it if we need to. So on my picture, I kind of just put this bubbly looking kind of coral here. I did a shell, a sea star, but depending on kind of how big you make them, or how many you want to do, you can kind of estimate how much space you'll need. Okay, so the easiest one is probably that sea star. So I'm going to take a little bit of teal, mix it with some white.
You have a mixture with white.
Yeah, this is just going to be for the season.
What's that fresh money?
You can use a fairly small one since it's pretty detailed.
This
Okay.
size, this size.
That's a good size. That's tiny. Maybe find one in between. That white one right there.
This one?
Yeah, that's me. So and again, you can do this bottom part kind of at your own pace. So if you're still working on something, that's fine. You don't have to do all of these down here. I think maybe if at least we add one more thing, it'll feel a little bit more finished, but it's really up to you kind of how much you want to do down here. I just put a bunch of different examples, so you don't have to worry about being rushed. Okay. All right, I'm going to move my sea star. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm just going to draw very kind of like a floppy guide here for the sea star. So I don't want to make it look too perfectly star-like, because I kind of want it to look like it's like just chilling on the sand, floppy. This gives it a little bit of like movement instead of it looking like a perfect star, right? And so once I make the 5 lines, of the star, then I can just kind of thicken up where they start to go towards the center. So this color is just a blue, or that teal color mixed with some white. And this is a pretty small brush. Kind of floppy star. I don't know if you can see it. And then along the little center, I just like to put like a detail with another color. Maybe I'll use a little bit of dark blue, but you can choose whatever color. And I just kind of give it just a sense of the little texture on the star, because it's kind of bumpy. And just to give it some detail on there so it's not so flat. I just got a little bit of dark blue and kind of put it on top. Could also wait for this paint to dry a bit to do this. Just to give it some roughness. Of course, this is just an imaginary sea star. I don't know if this one actually looks like this, but so there's somewhere.
I'm sure they're not blue, but
They're
that's
different
okay.
colors, different ones can be different colors.
Yeah, I've just seen mostly the orange ones.
Yeah, I've seen orange and brown.
Mhm. Those prickly ones with the long legs.
Mhm.
All right, and then I'm gonna try to show you guys this conch shell. So I'm trying to think what color. Maybe I will get this. I'll get this darker magenta color. Actually, let me get this. Mhm. There it is. I do have a couple of these colors too, so I have some metallics, metallic green and blue. There's some pinks here. This is a color I'm going to use for that conch. So if you want to use that, same thing you can, or you can try another color. All good. Ooh. This is. So this big shell, I'm gonna put it right here, kind of below this. So I started off this just kind of like with a big triangular shape. It kind of looks like a football shape. But instead of the top part being, you know, half of it being the same on the bottom, I can imagine like a football's like this, right? Or like an eye, okay? But instead of leaving it like that, I just kind of made it more bumpy on the top part. So it just looks like the ridges of the shell. It's like half of a bumpy football shape. It's the accurate description. All right. And then this can be more pointed because it's like the bottom of the conch. And same thing, we did it with this one. I'm just making this shape and then I can layer some details on top. So I'm just going to make the shape and then just let it dry a bit. Same thing, I'm just doing a darker color in the background and then a lighter color on top. So it shows. Okay. Then for the lighter color on top of this, right? It's just gonna be like you're making kind of the opening of the shell. So I'm just starting on one part here. You guys see that? So it's almost like this is where the little hole of the opening curls in. So it's almost like an eye shape. And for this one, you really do need to make it pretty big or else it's going to be way too tiny. Okay, it's going to be hard to do any detail. So just make sure you're working big enough. And so that lighter color, you just want to mix that same color you used for that shell with white. I think I'm going to make mine even lighter so you guys can see it a little better. Green. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. You kind of see it better there. Okay. And then with those little ridges that we made, I'm just going to kind of follow them. Just give it a little bit of that shell form in there. Kind of like bumpy on the top and then the opening for the bottom of that conch. If this feels like it might be too tricky, or you wanted to do just do something else, we can also just make like another kind of more simplified floral in here, or kind of like another kind of plant. So I just look like making kind of like a simple one here. Just kind of a little bit of green, or it could be teal, whatever color you want to make it here. And then it kind of just grows from the bottom too. Just to give it a little filling this space up here, right here with something here. Give it a little bit of detail on that side. Maybe that one's easier than the conch, or one of the other ones. And then I'm going to do the same thing, maybe a little bit of a smaller one. And maybe I'll just put a little one, I don't know, right here in the middle. Just 4 little ones. Maybe one on the bottom. Okay, 2 on the bottom. So just a very general shape, and then again, we can add some detail after. So like on this one, it's okay, yeah. Don't want to make it too skinny. That looks like a,
Turtle, if I didn't put so many legs on it.
oh, I was gonna say a sea anemone. I don't know if you've
Okay.
seen those. I love sea anemones. They're so cute. So I'm gonna put some yellow on top of here just to make it look different than that seaweed up there. So I'm just gonna go over this green, just kind of like adding the top portion with just a little bit of yellow. Or if you want to do it a different color, you can. Just kind of doing some yellow in there. It'll blend it a little bit so it'll turn green, but okay. Just to give it something in there. Maybe I'll even put, maybe instead of the other one having yellow on top, maybe I'll add some of this pink just to see what happens. Cool. So underwater scenes especially, you know, you could really have fun with the colors because it all kind of works and looks colorful at the end. Looks a little weird, so I'm gonna add a little bit more green in there. I think I'm gonna fix that one. Okay. You want to add a couple more like little plants, or maybe you even want to add like a regular shell, like you know, we can even do just like one of those regular sea shells. Probably need a very small brush to do one of these. Little seashell in there, or maybe you want to do a little crab or something else. You might want to throw in your watercolor, your underwater scene. Okay. Inside the conch, I'm just going to make it a tiny bit darker. I'm just going to put some of this dark blue in there, just to make it really look like this has a hole. Really gently in there, just to make it a little bit darker. Okay, so here we go so far, the whole thing. Okay, and of course yours can look different than this. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Okay, come on, tilt. So the rest of this is gonna be kind of up to you, you know, if you wanna add some fish. I can show you how to paint different ones, and then you can just add them as you see fit, wherever you wanna add them. So the basic fish, just so we do an easy one, I'm gonna make it, I don't know, make a color. So if you want to just paint a basic fish and you don't want to do anything crazy like a clownfish, you can just do like a little kind of like an eye shape. Oops. Zoom in on this one. You know, and then you can just kind of give it a little tail. That's the basic shape. And then for the little detail on it, toss me that small brush. I just need another one. Thank you. For the little details like the fin, you can just add with another color. You can just add like a little fin. Oh, this brush is terrible. This needs to go in the trash. A little fin. A little eye. Oh, that's too me. Maybe I'll give the tail some color. This is just a very basic fish. Okay, for the eye, you can just use the back of a tiny brush. And if you put just like a little dot on the corner, you can just kind of tap a little eye in there. I just blurred it, sorry. I'll show you guys that when it's dry. So that's a very simple, simplified fish. I kind of made these little tiny fish in the background like that, just very basic. So if you want to just fill up your, you know, your water scene here with a bunch of these kinds of fish, that's fine. You can try to do like a jellyfish or any other kind of fish you want to fill in your scene. So get those ready there. There's 3. You guys want to see the clownfish?
Yes.
Okay. So the clownfish, I started just with orange. And because, you know, we saw that orange is so transparent, I'm just going to add the tiniest amount of white to it. Just so it's not so see-through. So I'm going to put the clownfish down here. Let's see that other fish. So I kind of made one kind of swimming downwards. So the clownfish, we just want to start with like a very narrow kind of oval. And this is going to take, you know, you do have to kind of wait for it to dry a little bit before you do the rest. So you just start with like an oval. And then the clownfish kind of has a short little oval tail connecting to it. So I would just start with something very basic like this, like a little oval. And then we have to let that dry, okay? So I'm gonna do one more in front of these seaweed plants here. A little oval, and this one's gonna be going towards this direction. So it's gonna have a very rounded tail attached to it. I feel like doing a jellyfish up here, so while that dries, I'm gonna throw a jellyfish up here. Eat jellyfish, but I like drawing them or painting them. Not fun to get stung by a jellyfish, but it's fun to paint them. I like this yellow for this jellyfish because it kind of gives it a little bit of a glow. You can try that, or it could be another color, whatever you want to do. Couple jellyfish. Zoom out so you can see everything. And while that one's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and add the little things on the first fish that I made. Things. Things on the back. Fishies. For the clownfish, you are gonna need a tiny bit of black. But again, that's at the very end. I would recommend putting 2 layers of this orange before you do the black and the white stripes. Okay, so on, the rest of it, if you want to just fill in your scene as you see fit. Okay. So you guys can kind of work on whatever portion you feel you need to work on. So these clownfish still wet, so I'm gonna let them dry, 2 coats of those. In the meantime, you can kind of just add whatever you want to add. Maybe you want to go back and add like a second layer to some areas. So in here, in my neon coral, just gonna add a little bit more pink. Maybe here you can have fun with some of those metallic colors and add some of those in. If you want to play with those. I'm also going to throw in some of this metallic onto the shell, just because it's cool. I like that color, it's so vibrant. Kind of wish I had other metallic paints. Maybe I'll have to go buy some at Hobby Lobby or something. All right, what else? Maybe I'll add some ridges onto this little shell over here. A little bit right there. Or I can add a couple of highlights onto certain areas. So with a pure white, maybe on this coral, one of the first ones we made, we could just add a little bit of white just to really help kind of make that pop. Give the ridges a little bit of a highlight. Or we can add this pure white on some of these little purple reefs here. Not all of them, just a few, just to give it a little bit of a pop. Or maybe I'll add some white onto the shell. Have some fun with that. You don't have to do that, just to give it a little bit of flair. Maybe I'll do a little white on these jellyfish. Okay, my orange is dry, so I'm going to work on the clownfish some more. For the second layer on the clownfish, you can add their little fins too. So they have a little fin on the top and bottom. And then let that dry. And then you can add the black little stripes, the black and white stripes. Okay. What else can we do? Right now, you're just kind of having fun with it, whatever you want to do to work on it or add to it. I'm just kind of showing you some different options, okay? I could add some little bubbles. I just remembered that I have some little bubbles on mine. So I would just do the bubbles if you're gonna do bubbles. Very watery with white. Or you could even use like a light blue. And the wateriness will kind of help you get it really thin. Little bubble there. Hello. Full bubble. Or you can do blue bubble, or light blue bubble, or no bubble, whatever you want to do, just to kind of fill it in a little bit. We don't want it to look like one spot is completely empty, and bubbles are kind of like an easy way to fill in a little area that might be neglected. I use some of this white to make the stripes on the clownfish. So I just put 3 white stripes. So one kind of along the face, 2 in the middle of the body, and then 1 on the tail. And you might need to do this layer too, like the stripes layer, but if you get it thick enough, it should cover enough. So we have, oh, this one's kind of chubby looking. Hold on. Let me fix this fish. It's a little bit flat right here. One, 2, 3. You don't have to do the clownfish if you don't want to. You can just do any other kind of fish. And then I do have a little bit of black here if you guys need it for any details. Okay. That's black. White should be in that tube right there. It's the only one I have in the tube. The eye of the fish. So a little bit of black on the edges. And you can see this if anybody wants to see this one, just to see how I did the clownfish. You want to see
Yes,
it?
if you could.
Oh.
I got it, I'll get it. Thank you.
You can kind of see where I placed it. It's a little tricky. I had to look at the clownfish picture to see where it had its markings, but something like this. Definitely on the fins and on the tail is where it has black. So around the tail, around the fins on the top and bottom. And in the middle. Stripe. A little bit of a happy face. Oops, that one's got a big old mouth. Okay. I don't know if you guys need any help with anything. I'm not to show you how to do anything. So what I was saying was in here, see how it's showing a lot of blue through? So I would just let it dry. Well, we'll probably do it now. Just get a little bit more of the orange and do like a second layer. Cause then it's gonna help cover up that blue a little bit better. Fun. When I thought of this, I had just seen The Little Mermaid in theaters. So I was like,
No, those are,
oh, it was really cute. Yeah, sometimes they mess up the remakes, but
Yeah.
this one was cute.
I think they always mess up the remakes.
It's, I mean, the original is definitely the original. It's great, but
Yeah.
this one was a good close second.
I sure hope she doesn't go see, Frankenstein or,
Frankenstein.
you might go see Frankenstein and we decide we should do Frankenstein.
Oh, oh, I see.
Pictures. Would not be good.
Oh, he's so cute.
it was for Halloween.
It would, but, not really.
Yeah, I don't know if people would want to do more like fall theme, like pumpkins and boards and things like that, or more spooky stuff.
Get the picture up, which I see the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It's just, this is so hard to
Oh, yes.
manipulate here, and you like,
Need black.
oh, right here.
I can put it on the plastic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where this plastic came from.
Where'd
It
you
was
get it?
on my canvas.
Oh, okay. That's actually a good palette. Let me see how thick it is. Keep it.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah. Any more of those? Keep them for later.
I think there might be one down there.
Yeah, oh, I know.
At home, I use all this, like the styrofoam little plates.
Yeah, I have more palettes. Although I'm really liking this one, even though it gets really messy. I just got these at the Dollar Tree, so maybe I should get more of those instead of those tiny ones you guys have.
Yeah, it's hard to mix on these.
That's a lot. Yeah, I think you need more space for blending, huh? I'll get some more. All right, I'm gonna wash out this stuff, but you guys feel free to finish with your painting. Make sure you sign your name at the bottom of your masterpiece.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, yes. Do you have black for the clownfish?
No. All right,
have a
thank
little
you.
down with the
Well, thank you.
Yes. We sure can.
This little scrubber is great for cleaning up this brush, but just try to get all the paint out when you get it done.
I was afraid it might be for finding lunch dishes.
That's a good balance.
Okay, I'll grab some of these napkins. Don't tell anyone. Okay. Oh, it's recording on Zoom, so. Yeah, the paint isn't toxic or anything, so it's okay if it gets on the brush, but as long as it doesn't dry on it, it should be okay. All right, I'm gonna turn off Zoom because I think this part's done, but if you guys want to see it, you can. More.